Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining this seminar today on schools ministry. My name's Andy Barthow. I work for a Christian schools work charity based in York called Yo-Yo, or York Schools and Youth Trust, to use its formal name. And we're asking this question today: schools ministry, is it a thing of the past or the future? Now, I assume, based on the fact that you've joined this seminar today, that you are either involved in schools ministry or you're interested in it. Hopefully, like me, you agree that schools ministry has a future. It's not just something of the past, but it's still got a place in our schools today. And so today we're going to be unpacking that. We're going to be looking at what is schools ministry. We're going to be looking at how can we grow schools ministry in our modern context. And we're going to be looking at what is the future for schools ministry. Where can we serve in our schools? A little bit later on, you'll also be hearing from my colleagues, Suze and Izzy, who will share some of their thoughts. Now, it's probably worth acknowledging straight away that this is YouTube. We are on YouTube. Normally, this kind of seminar, we would be in a room together where we could chat freely, we could ask questions, we could share, we could encourage, all that stuff. Well, it's really hard to do on YouTube. But I would love you to still be really actively involved in this seminar today. So as we go through, feel free to comment. In fact, please do comment on the video, write things down. I'm going to be watching this video at the same time as you. So if you've got any thoughts or questions, or even things that you might want to share to encourage other people watching, please do. I also think it would be great if you had a pen and a paper, some paper with you, so that you can jot things down as we go through. Maybe come back to some of those notes a bit later on. And of course, make sure you've got yourself a cuppa to get through the next hour. Hopefully it's going to be a really encouraging time for all of us. Now, just as we start, it will be good to know who else is watching. So please, write your name, comment on who you are, maybe your experience of schools work. You can do that on the YouTube video. Just as we start off, I want to play you a video. This is a short video, it's sort of Yo-Yo's promo video about who we are. And then after you've watched it, I'll unpack a little bit about us and the type of schools-based ministry that we do. And then we can share some thoughts. So here it is. York Schools and Youth Trust began in 1996, working with schools and churches to bring the Christian faith alive. We do this through assemblies, lessons, clubs, reflection spaces, and workshops. Over the years, the amount of schools Yo-Yo works in has grown, and now we work in almost every school in York. Yo-Yo schools workers are based in geographical areas across the city, enabling us to build relationships with the same children throughout their primary and secondary education. This also allows us to build relationships with school staff and local churches. The local church plays an essential role in supporting the work of Yo-Yo, spiritually, practically, and financially, enabling us to remain a free resource for schools. Yo-Yo aims to link churches with their local schools and equip volunteers to work alongside the team. We also love to encourage churches to build on their own relationships with local schools. This could involve helping with reading, to taking a weekly assembly, or running a lunchtime club. You can find out more about the work of Yo-Yo by visiting our website, yoyotrust.org.uk. So that's a little bit about Yo-Yo and who we are and what we do in schools. But as the video mentioned, Yo-Yo started 25 years ago. And I know that over the years, Yo-Yo's looked very different. We've done different things in schools. Our ministry has taken different forms. It's adapted, it's changed, it's developed. That term, schools ministry, can mean lots of different things depending on your situation, your context. I think as we start today looking at growing our ministry, looking at how to make it more effective, how to have more opportunities, we've got to start with that question. What is schools ministry? What is the purpose of schools ministry? What are we about? What are we there to do? Let's spend a few minutes just thinking about that. I want you to think about your situation, your context. What is your understanding of schools ministry? What are you all about? Please comment your thoughts on this video just in the comment section below. I'll give you a few minutes, there'll be a timer on the screen, and then we'll go from there. That term, schools ministry, is a really broad one. It can mean lots of different things to different people, depending on who you are, the context that you're working in, why you've been invited into school. But simply put, schools ministry is just about connecting people, children, young people, but also staff in school as well, with the gospel that we believe in. Today we're thinking about growing our schools ministry, the future of ministry in schools. And right at the heart of that, right at the foundation of it all, is having a really clear vision, knowing exactly why you're there. What exactly are you hoping to achieve? So before we do anything else, it's important to think about vision. Vision sets the direction. Vision sets the direction that you are going to go in your ministry. And actually, I think it's important to recognise that it's not just a one-off thing when maybe a charity starts or you start your school's work. Actually, we need to regularly be looking at our vision, regularly looking at why do we exist. I know that as a schools worker myself, I regularly ask myself that question. Why am I there? What am I there to do? Is my vision in line with the direction God wants to take this ministry? At Yo-Yo, we have a vision statement. We have our kind of strapline that everything else works around. It is working with churches and schools to bring the Christian faith alive. That's what we're about. That's what we seek to do, to work with churches in local communities and with schools to help enrich and bring the Christian faith alive for children and young people. But that statement, that vision statement, can mean different things to different people. To schools, they can read that and say, well, that's something that we want to do. You know, they're teaching about Christianity and we're offering to come in and bring it to life and make it exciting and give opportunity for children and young people in their RE lessons to ask questions, to hear personal stories of what faith means in our lives. To churches, they might view that differently. They read that statement and recognise that lots of children and young people have no relationship with church. They don't go to church. They maybe don't even know a single Christian. And so we give the opportunity for them to support us, to come into school with us, because we're going in to help bring the Christian faith alive. So it's not just seen as a dry, dusty book that old people read on a Sunday morning. Actually, we're going in to say, this is a living faith. And they can get behind that vision statement. We believe that actually partnership is really important in our ministry. We don't want to be seen as these outside guests who are just popping into the school and then clearing off. Actually, we want to get to a stage where schools, as well as churches, but schools see us as partners with them, that we're working for them, we're working with them, we're trying to help enrich what they are doing, enrich their curriculum, and kind of bring life to the lessons that they're doing. We want churches to see us in the same way. We're not competition, we're not getting in the way of them being in schools. We're there to partner with them, to encourage them, to work together, to bring the Christian faith alive for children and young people in their area. We want to be transparent. I think transparency is so important that actually everything of who we are, everything of what we're there to do is really, really clear and really, really transparent. Naturally, you've probably experienced this if you've done any kind of schools work, but naturally, people can come with skepticism. They hear, Christians going into my local school, and there can be some resistance to that. Well, that's understandable. That is understandable. I know why people feel like that. And that's why I want to be completely transparent. I want schools, I want parents, I want churches, I want local community groups to know exactly what I'm there to do. Actually, for us as Yo-Yo, we very much see that our purpose is to go into schools to educate children about the Christian faith, to bring life to it, to give opportunity to ask questions, and to give an opportunity for children and young people to think about faith for themselves. We're not there to convert or brainwash or convince or anything like that. We're just there to be open and honest and give opportunity for children to learn and to explore for themselves. And we try to be completely transparent about that. On our website, when you first go on it, straight away, the first thing that you see is York Schools and Youth Trust, and then you see our vision statement. You can click on a page and learn all about our objectives and our aims. We want to be transparent. Right from the start, when we contact schools, when we contact churches, letting them know exactly who we are, letting them know our vision. Now, we have had situations where we've had various people, governors, parents, lots of people, teachers, who've been unsure of us. Most of them have never seen us or just kind of heard little bits and pieces. Well, what's our response to that? We welcome them in. We say straight away, well, come and see what we do. Come and watch our assembly. Come and see our lesson. We send our plans ahead. If we've written a lesson plan, an assembly plan, whatever it might be, we say, here it is, have a look at it. We let them know exactly who we are and what we're there to do. And so by having complete transparency, as much as possible, we build trust. And trust is how our work grows. Once we get to a position where we are trusted, we're given more and more responsibility, more and more freedom in the school. But I wonder what your vision is. I've shared a bit about my vision, our vision at Yo-Yo, what we're there to do. But I wonder what yours is. I'm going to have a few minutes now just for you to think about that, to think through your context, your situation, the school's work that you do. If you were to summarise it in a vision statement, maybe you've already got a vision statement to hand, or maybe it's something that you're just thinking through. Maybe you could jot down a few points What is your vision? What do you hope for in your ministry?
Hi, my name's Izzy and I work for Yo-Yo. We're going to think now about how we get started when it comes to schools ministry. Perhaps you have been working in schools ministry for years, or perhaps you're looking to get into a school for the very first time. Before we get too excited and charge in sharing all our ideas with the school, we should take a step back and pray. We should pray for wisdom and we should pray for advice from God. Who should we contact? Who's the best person in that school? What should we say? What words should we use? There are so many things we need to ask God for wisdom on. In fact, we should be praying before we've even thought about our vision for this ministry. When it comes to approaching schools, no school is the same as another. Every single school has its own context and is different. And so for that reason, there is no one-size-fits-all approach in how we contact schools for the first time. But there are lots of great things we can keep in mind when we're doing this. We should be praying specifically for that school or the schools that we're wanting to approach. Praying for wisdom for them as to how we could best support them. We're going to have a look now at some key things we could think about. So imagine the situation. There is a school local to you that you want to get involved with and support. How would you go about making that initial contact? As we've already said, every situation is different, so you'll need to have a think and a pray about how you apply these in your context and your situation with your schools. First off, it is important that we're able to share and communicate our vision. We've already considered how important this vision is, but it is able to say so much about who we are and what it is that we're looking to do. Then we can share the exciting things that we would love to be able to do in their school, communicating with them how we want to support them and what we want to do to help them out, to enrich what their school is already doing. It might be that you want to suggest leading assemblies or a lunchtime club, perhaps being involved in lessons or mentoring. The options are limitless, but it is so important that we don't get carried away with all our enthusiastic ideas at one time. We don't want to overwhelm them and overburden them. So share with wisdom. But also, this is an excellent opportunity to ask them how you could best support them. What does their school need at this time, and how could you be helping them to do that?
It's also really important that we don't assume the person we're contacting knows anything about us. If you've never met that person before or never contacted them, even if you've been in that school before, even if you've worked there in the past with other members of staff, or you've worked in lots of schools in your area, assume that that person knows nothing about you. Introduce yourself, introduce your ministry, tell them a bit about yourself. If you have been in that school before, maybe you could mention other members of staff that you've worked with. You could share maybe some projects or different things that you've done in the school in the past. If you've got a good relationship with other schools or other members of staff, why not see if you could get a quote or a testimony or a story from them about your work? It's amazing how many times when we get into a brand new school, we find out it's because another teacher from maybe even another school has vouched for us and recommended us and shared about what we do. So don't be afraid to ask. The other thing to say is be patient. Once you've sent that email or made that phone call, be patient and wait. You don't want schools to think that we're pestering them. And schools are busy places, so it can take a while. The best thing that we can do in that situation is just to pray. Just to pray and wait and ask God to have control over that situation. On a very practical note, if you are contacting a new school and you don't know who's the right person to contact, we would say the best person, first of all, would be the head. You can contact the head, and even if they're not the best person, they'll usually point you in the right direction or forward your email on. Or you could check the website of that school. Often RE coordinators or RE teachers are listed in the staff list, and then that might give you a good contact to start with. We thought it would be good to share with you a story about a school that was a first contact for us, or first contact for a while. So Izzy's going to share a little bit now.
A few years ago, one of our local secondary schools had a new head of RE put in place. Previously, before they were appointed, we had been involved in the school in small ways. We had run a lunchtime Christian union and supported that. But that was all that the relationship looked like in that school. We had never been involved in RE in the classroom. But this new head of RE, when he started, asked his year 7s what they had done in primary school. And the kids enthusiastically told them that in primary school they had had this charity called Yo-Yo come in and teach RE. They told him all excitedly about it, and he wondered what on earth this Yo-Yo was. So he looked into it and found that we were a Christian schools work charity who also worked in secondary schools. By a chance conversation in the staff room with another member of staff, he was put in touch with us and then contacted us to ask what we were about. We had a meeting and we told him what we did in other secondary schools in the city, that we would take whole lessons with each year group at various points throughout the year, that we could support curriculum. And we put a lot of wisdom into what we shared, thinking through the fact that we wanted to show him we can do lots, we can support you, but also we're willing to just start small if that's what you need. And so we had some great conversations and we agreed that we would come and support him in a lesson, and we would take a 20-minute slot of the hour-long lesson. And before we even got to the classroom, we did so many things to make sure that we took the fear factor out of us Christians coming into his classroom. We wrote down exactly what it was we were going to do with our 20 minutes, what we were going to share, and we sent that lesson plan through to him ahead of time. This meant that there was no risk there of the unknown of what we might do. Naturally, in those lessons where we were given those 20-minute slots, kids asked questions and engaged. He himself also got involved asking questions, and the 20 minutes soon became a bit longer. After this, we were then trusted with longer lessons. We were then trusted with the whole lesson to lead by ourselves. We continued, though, to keep that principle of sending through lesson plans ahead of time. It's so important when we look at these relationships with schools that we enable a trusting relationship. By sending through lesson plans, we were showing openness, transparency, and that integrity of being able to say, this is what we're going to do. We're hiding nothing from you. Now, a few years down the line, we have an excellent working relationship with this school. We're in on a regular basis, we see all of their year groups, and we support their curriculum in the best way we know how to do. It's so exciting to see how we can enrich that RE curriculum in that classroom. We can offer something that the school just can't. We can bring the studies of Christianity to life by putting ourselves, real living Christians, in their classroom, and the kids get to engage with us in a way that they just can't with a textbook. And that has been a really exciting opportunity for us.
Hi, I'm Suze and I work with Andy at Yo-Yo. So how do you grow your school's ministry? Our experience at Yo-Yo is if you keep the conversation open with the school and you keep praying to God, hopefully you'll be moving in the right direction. It's really important that we seek God's heart and that we also respond to what the school needs, so that we're not trying to push our own agenda, but we're also seeking where God is trying to lead us as we ask the question, what next? How do I grow what I'm already doing? Yo-Yo's been going for about 25 years, and so now we are a much bigger team and we are able to take on much bigger projects, which is really cool. But that is all a result of small changes, things that we've done along the way in order to adapt and become something that is really useful to schools, to teachers. One thing that we've done is being able to adapt and respond to needs. Even in the last few years, we have seen how pressure on teachers to meet curriculum aims is become much bigger on their focus than previous years. Where in previous years, we might have been given a bit more flexibility to do what we wanted. Now we are having to respond much more to tick boxes in the curriculum for them, which we are more than willing to do. And it's just taken us adapting and changing along with the teachers in order to continue to serve in the schools. We've also needed to change our style. So actually responding to the needs of children, what they are enjoying, what are they engaging with, how can we bring that into the classroom in order to enhance their learning experience and make sure that we really are bringing the Christian faith alive, which is our aim at Yo-Yo. One of the biggest reasons that we know that we have experienced growth at Yo-Yo and in our school's work is the young people. They really are advocates for us. We know that if they enjoy what we do and they engage with what we're doing in lessons, teachers see the value in our contribution. We want to make sure that what we're doing and delivering is of a high content, that the substance in which we are sharing is good for teachers. but we also want to make sure that how we're delivering that is engaging and creative, so that the children and the young people really do enjoy us being there and being part of their learning. Our aim at Yo-Yo is to engage with the children and young people in our lessons, so that they are willing to listen to what we have to say, but also feel comfortable enough to share with us what they believe and what they think about a certain topic. It's really important for us that we're setting the tone, that we're creating a space in which they feel comfortable, and also a space in which is fun and creative, and a place where they do want to learn and engage. Usually in a lesson or a workshop, we would begin with a quiz or a game or some kind of icebreaker activity, just to set the tone, to let them know that this isn't going to be a normal lesson. Generally at Yo-Yo, we dress in maybe jeans and a hoodie or just normal casual clothes. We want to be different from teachers to show that we are a special visitor coming in, but we also want to be professional in how we do that. One way that we engage with the children and young people is through videos. We've found over the past few years that actually different learning styles mean that children enjoy watching and looking at something. And also those 2-minute videos give us a little breather. It's a minute where we're not speaking, and it gives them a change of voice. We're also really conscious of trying to involve different discussions and different activities, so that actually they have space and time to reflect on and think about what they think and what they believe. In some scenarios, we are unpacking big topics, and it's really important that we give them a little bit of space to ponder, to stop, and to think, and that we're not just bombarding them with what we think about a given topic, what Christians believe all the time, but actually giving them space to stop and think about what they think about what we've shared and what they think about this given topic. Another thing we always try and incorporate into our lessons and workshops is a time for question and answer. This could be to answer questions that have come up as a result of the topic that we've been exploring, or it could just be something else that is on the mind of that child that they have wanted to know and wanted to ask. And while we're there and able to answer those questions for them, from a faith perspective, it's really important. I admit that they're not always my favourite part of the lesson. Sometimes you can feel a little bit intimidated or a little bit worried about what they're going to ask. And so therefore we know that it's really important that we go into those times prayerfully and thinking and asking God to be with us as we respond to the questions. There can be big questions and there can be really small questions. And what we tend to do in our question times is get the children to write them down on bits of paper, and we then bring them to the front. That gives us a little bit of thinking time, a little bit of space to open up those questions, read them, and decide how we're going to respond. It also means that we're not put on the spot, and we can definitely try and bundle a few questions together, knowing that there's a few maybe on the same topic. But we found that is really the best way of doing question and answer, is to get them to write down on bits of paper, and then we have a little bit of control over how we answer those. We do try and respond to all the questions we get, or at least try and let teachers know if we haven't been able to answer a question on a given topic, just so that they are aware that that is an unanswered question, and it might be something that they can unpack with that class at a later date. It's quite obvious, but in order to grow our schools ministry, we need to make sure that we are deepening and growing our relationship with the school. It's important that our conversation with them is open and professional and responsive. We need to be asking questions regularly to find out whether what we are offering is still what they need, and to make sure that we are asking for feedback so that we can improve on what we are doing. At Yo-Yo, we found that by asking these questions, we've been really encouraged to hear about the buzz that is happening in the staff room after some of our workshops, or the fact that children are singing songs as they go around the rest of their school day. But also it's been a time where we've been able to reflect on feedback given. Did what we said make the most sense to children of that age? How can we improve an activity to make sure that it really does draw out the best point? Asking questions and taking on feedback has been really important for us to grow our work, and schools and teacher feedback is vital to that. What we found as well at Yo-Yo is that when we develop that relationship and we bless the school, that actually that leads to more conversations and a more openness amongst the staff as well. One ways that we've been blessing staff recently is by delivering chocolates and Christmas cards. Just a way of acknowledging that teachers work really hard and maybe need a little lunchtime treat in the staff room. At Easter, we try and involve the local church by getting them to provide baked goods that then we deliver to the school along with an Easter card. This is just a simple way in which you are investing in that school and trying to deepen relationships. It also allows us to smile and connect with staff in a new way outside of the classroom, which I think is really cool. So one way in which Yo-Yo has grown over the last few years is how we have moved from doing kind of your traditional schools ministry, where we've been invited in as experts to look at things like Christmas and Easter, and how we have taken that a step further by going in more regularly into some schools in order to share a little bit more about our faith through different topics. Some schools, as a result of the high quality stuff we've done at Easter and Christmas, have invited us in to do much more regular things like assemblies or more workshops. Some approach us and ask us about specific topics we could cover, knowing that what we put together is professional and is engaging. Some things we've learned over the years is about how we sometimes need to break down barriers and break down religious terminology. One thing we've learned quite recently is that actually the word prayer space, which is a brilliant initiative and something that we love to do in schools, can actually restrict some schools. Some teachers, even Christian teachers, have said to us, I love the idea of having that space in my school, but my head teacher will not sign off on a prayer space. We will not be allowed to do that. And in response to that, we thought about how we can maybe adapt that to be something that the school could still benefit from, but actually taken away some of that religious terminology, which means that maybe more children would be able to engage with it. Now, we would never lie about what we're doing. We're always trying to be as transparent as possible. But what we've done is adapt the name of that space to a reflection space to show that actually you can pray in that space, but it is not solely about prayer. It does not have to be just praying to God, but it can be an opportunity to sit and reflect and engage in some of the activities that we create in your own way. It does not have to be formulaic, and it does not have to be wholly Christian in order for people and for the children to get a lot out of it. This has been received really warmly by lots of schools, even just by rebranding prayer spaces. I guess the question now is, what does this mean for your school's ministry? How can you grow? How can you step up what you're already doing? One model that I think is really helpful when you're thinking about this is thinking about what you need to stop, what you need to start, and what you need to continue. Is there something in your ministry you've been doing for a while that is now time to stop? Maybe it's run its race and actually it's no longer meeting the needs of the children and young people. It's no longer blessing the staff. Maybe it's wearing you down. Is it time to stop it? What is it that you could start? Maybe there's a new initiative, maybe there's a need that you've recognised, maybe the school have mentioned something that would bless them. What is it that you could start? What is it that you could grow new? And what is it in your ministry that could continue? Maybe something that is still adding value to the school, it is still blessing them, you're still finding joy in doing it. Maybe there's something in your ministry that needs to continue, that God is still using you in. Take a moment now to think about what it is that you need to stop, what it is that you could maybe start, and what it is that still needs to continue in your school's ministry.
So the title of this seminar was Schools Ministry, a Thing of the Past or the Future. And hopefully we have seen how effective schools ministry can be, how exciting it can be, what it can look like. We've heard some of the ways that it has been so impacting in our local schools. And so we think that there is reason to believe that there is a future for our schools ministry. But we want to think now, as we finish, about what that future might look like. Currently, we are going through a strange season, a season that none of us could have foreseen or expected, the strange season of COVID. We're living in a time where we have had to be so flexible with what our work looks like. Never did we think schools work would not be happening in schools, but instead we've been propelled into a different place and a different way of working. For us at Yo-Yo, we could have seen the closure of the school buildings as the closure of our work, but instead we have taken our work to a different place. We have been creating online resources for staff to use in school with those who are there, or sending home to pupils at home. We have created resources that have not only been used by those staff, but actually have been used far and wide across this country. And that for us has been an amazing thing to see and really exciting. Another benefit and positive from this has been that when we've put time into investing and creating a resource, It has been able to be used by multiple schools at one time, rather than just one physical school that we could visit. It is important in a season like this, which is hard and tedious, to look for the positives that are coming from it. And there are great positives in this season. But an important lesson to learn here is the flexibility. And that lesson goes beyond this season. Are you flexible in your approach to schools ministry? Our world is constantly changing and evolving. The way that schools work happens has to change with it. Are you flexible enough to look at what is working and what is not? Are you being flexible in your approach with your schools, listening to what it is they really need, what it is they would value, and going with them on that? Think about how you could be flexible in this current season and in the future. There are so many exciting ways that we can do schools work in the future. Something that has been important for years, that schools have been facing for years, but that this current season has drawn out even more, is how important looking after the well-being and mental health of our pupils and our staff is. In the past at Yo-Yo, we have invested in prayer and reflection spaces, and we have seen how valuable they can be. They are spaces where pupils and staff alike can leave a classroom and come somewhere where they can be still, where they can stop, where they can take time out from the busy timetables and they can think. And if they would like to, they can pray. These prayer and reflection spaces, or reflect, are a great opportunity to invest in the well-being of our schools. Perhaps you already run these. Perhaps you've done them lots of times before, or perhaps you've never heard of them. Why not consider what you could do to support schools in your area in this way? Perhaps you've got some other amazing creative ways that you could do this, aside from just prayer and reflection spaces. For us at Yo-Yo, this is such a valuable part of our toolkit in our support of our schools. What you can bring to a school is a real, living and active faith. This is something that a school cannot provide themselves. Even Christian teachers within schools are so limited as to what they can share. So you are providing something that the school needs to enrich their understanding of Christianity as they learn about this faith in school. You can provide something unique in that regard. So you are valuable and important as we look at the future of schools work. But the future starts now. The best way to look to the future is to invest in our relationships with schools. Even now in this current season, you can be doing that. We've mentioned throughout this seminar today different ideas and ways of doing that. Sue's even mentioned how, as a yo-yo team, we have taken to thinking about how we can bless staff in ways like dropping in chocolates or cards to just let them know that they are valued and not forgotten in any way. How can you invest in your relationships with your contacts? Whether that's the RE coordinator or the head teacher, whoever it might be, invest in those relationships today to help improve the work of your future schools work ministry. There are so many exciting opportunities ahead in schools work. This is such an exciting time to be a part of. But what do you want your future in schools ministry to look like?
Well, thank you so much for joining this seminar today. We really hope that you found it interesting and encouraging, and it's given you some ideas for your school's ministry and got you excited for the future. If you've got any questions or you want to ask anything else, please do get in contact with me. You can comment on this video or you can email me at andy@yoyotrust.org.uk. Let me just pray for us as we finish. Lord God, we want to thank you for schools ministry. We thank you for the hundreds of years where people have been going into schools to talk about faith in you. And we want to pray for the future. I pray for every person who's watched this today, who's joined this seminar, God, that you will bless their ministry, that you will encourage them. God, we want to pray that you will give all of us fresh insight and fresh ideas for the future. Show us where you might be leading our ministries. Amen.